This might be the most broken and entertaining build I've ever done in Legion. In case you can't tell, I've found a way to keep the wave basically frozen in place. And if you want to see how it works, stick around and I'll break it down for you. Hey friends, my name is Dehoko, and I want to make entertaining and educational Legion TD2 videos. So I hope you enjoy and maybe learn a thing or two. And with that out of the way, another quick disclaimer, this is probably only done this well in Superhero Mode and Classic. In this mode, you get a random Legion spell on wave 6 and 16 in addition to the wave 11 one, for a total of 3. For this strategy, we're looking for 2 instances of Glacial Touch, which we will be putting on 2 different masks. The masks have an interesting interaction with Glacial as it attacks 3 targets, and then on its next attack swaps to 3 different ones. One of these 3 attacks is the main attack and procs the Glacial. Because it has a 90% slow for 3 seconds, and the mask attacks for 1.1 attacks per second, the mask can keep multiple units slowed to a standstill, but this is just phase 1, and with a couple of additions, it will become super OP. First up is to try to bring all the units right and then down, giving our ranged DPS as much time to freely attack before they get into melee range. Wave 10 is a really good example of the plan. Watch how it kills all the tanks and then slowly walks into the mask on the right, and then slowly back towards the ranged DPS. Without Glacial, this is for sure a massive leak. Wave 11 and we get our second Glacial mask. It doesn't stack, but now we have 2 units being slowed at all times. And because masks attack at 1 attack per second and the slow lasts for 3 seconds, we should be getting around 6 units being slowed at all times. I wanted to up this number, so with my trusty redraw, oh yeah, by the way, you should be using redraw for this. Sorry, I forgot to mention it. Anyway, I went looking for APS. Now the range on the APS is really low though, and unfortunately draws the wave back to our DPS. It still worked out though, and even being under 440, I still easy hold with the double Glacial. Wave 13, I fixed it by adding some masks to draw them further right, so the APS didn't take any aggro. This is probably the best wave to highlight the strategy. Just watch as these units are struggling to make it even close to my range. In fact, this one in the back doesn't even get to attack anything the entire time. Wave 14 worked almost perfectly. I drew most of the wave right, but I'm still struggling to get the entire thing to wrap all the way around. I also realized here that without more damage, even the slowest units will eventually make it to my DPS. We take a small leak here, but with our trusty redraw, we can aim to fix it. Wave 16, I managed to redraw Star-Colored Crabs, and after building them, I found the final piece of the puzzle, the Rogue Wave. Since its rework, it now slows 3 units at 75%. It's not as good as Glacial, but it does buy time for the masks to apply their Glacial to everything else. That was always part of my plan, but I noticed something with crabs. They run to where the wave is each time they spawn. The wave kills their targets, and then walks to the next one. Crabs spawn endlessly, and each time they do, they stall the wave for a couple of seconds, and the wave slowly walks up and meets the new crabs, and then kills those, and it repeats. I easy clear wave 17, and am almost starting to feel bad for the waves. Wave 18, I add some rogue waves on the right and some more on the left for a total of 7. I also have gun in this role, and because I'm missing some DPS and it's stationary with long attack range, it can fit perfectly on the other MPS slots. I also added some more ranged on the split to try to drag the wave more to the right. I do wish I knew how well my changes worked, but the entirety of wave 18 didn't even make it onto the grid to get wrapped around. Wave 19, and I think I have enough stall with the 2 masks and 7 rogue waves, so I find more DPS with the catapults. I still kind of suck with these, and it's hard, especially with this strat, to put them in a good spot, but they really are insane damage. Wave 20, and after a 2-wave skip, they decided to send, which was a mistake. The boss never stood a chance of getting to my DPS. And this is a good example of the crab spawning and stalling the boss for a couple of seconds, and then spawning it again before he gets to the ranged DPS. And while being 1500 under, I full hold and am strong enough to cover. Wave 21, and I really don't want this game to end, so I kind of int my team and just get income, hoping the other team lives. I found another APS and some Daphne, and just upgraded anything left over. My positioning is good, and while the wave didn't quite make it to the grid, they looked like they wanted to go right and around. Thankfully, the enemy team does barely live. Wave 22, I had a ton of money, so I found and added maybe way too many rogue waves, and really upped my split with that golem and some extra rogue waves. I actually had so much money that I couldn't spend it all, shifted over 1,000 gold, and still just easy money held while being able to cover. Wave 23, I find some more DPS and use the rest of my money. Now, I don't know how many classic games you've played, but I don't see many players actually holding 23 these days. And I wish I had watched our side, but the coolest part about this strat is it actually works at the king, meaning I probably would have covered a lot of my allies' leaks. Before we end, I just want to give my final build and a little bit about each part. The golem is way in front and to the right to stall the wave right out of the gates. The rogues behind him are to start slowing the wave immediately. My initial plan was to have the wave wrap to them, so I placed some further back, but the slowing is too OP and the wave never got that far. On the left, we have a mix of more rogue waves as Mythium is quite high, and a lot of units are being sent, meaning more things to slow. The DPS is just any high ranged, high damage unit and can be done with a lot of different things. The crab circle, while maybe not necessary, did seem to help stall by providing a new line the wave had to cross each time they spawned. The true bread and butter of this build, though, is the two Glacial touched masks with APS as their 90% 3-second slow is truly what makes this build work. Anyway, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video, and this time around, I hope to consistently be making new Legion videos. Jules, please don't nerf this.